Here are today's top news happenings and why they matter. The Democratic Republic of Congo has released 3 American suspects involved in a failed coup attempt. This move signals Kinshasa's readiness to cooperate with the United States on the so-called military aid for minerals deal. The 3 Americans were handed over to the U.S. authorities after their death sentences were commuted to life imprisonment last week. One of the released Americans, 22-year-old Marcel Malanga, is the son of the alleged coup leader, Christian Malanga. So how significant is this move? Kinshasa is seeking deeper U.S. engagement to help stabilize the region, potentially through intelligence support, troops training, or contractor assistance. In return, Congo is offering greater cooperation on mineral supply chains currently dominated by Chinese firms. So what comes next? If successfully implemented, a US-DRC partnership could be a model for balancing resource development with responsible security cooperation. But analysts warn that any arrangement must be rooted in accountability, local empowerment, and long-term peace building. Moving on, people they talk Hausa now, full ground. That is the vibe among many Nigerians in Niamey today, as the country's military-led government officially declared Hausa its new national language. DW correspondents report that the new directive has been embraced by people in markets and busy streets in Niamey. The junta says it's about restoring sovereignty and strengthening local identity, a sentiment that resonates deeply among the more than 60 million Hausa speakers across West Africa. About half of Nigerian population speaks Hausa as their first or second language. That's approximately 13 to 14 million people out of the Niger's 26 million citizens. Now, to understand why this matters, I asked DW's Hausa Department Zahra Din Umar if this directive will make a change on Nigerians' daily lives.
George, this development may have greater impact. Hausa is spoken roughly by about 50 to 55% of people in Niger Republic, making government services, education, and even political participation more accessible to local people who are struggling with the French. There is also cultural preservation and identity aspect. It affirms indigenous linguistic identity and potentially strengthens national cohesion by centering governance around a widely spoken language rather than using colonial language. But also there is concern of minority languages, which the junta-led government should think about while implementing this new policy. George, as we say in Hausa, zamu ga yadda za ta kasance, which means we shall see how it turns out.
Zahra Din, na gode, that is thank you in Hausa. Finally, China is applying significant diplomatic pressure to persuade African lawmakers to withdraw from a global alliance that critiques Beijing's human rights record. This reveals a growing pattern of influence across the continent's political systems. Officials from the Inter-Parliamentary Alliance on China, IPAC, confirmed to journalists that legislators in Malawi and the Gambia were urged by Chinese diplomats to quit the group or risk losing key diplomatic ties, including the cancellation of state visits and development summits. And the tactic seems to have worked. In recent months, lawmakers from both countries withdrew from IPAC despite earlier expressions of support for the alliance's principles. So why does this development matter? Critics warn that China's soft power is increasingly becoming hard pressure, especially when it comes to issues like Taiwan, Hong Kong, or criticism of its domestic policies. And here is the bigger picture. As the US influence in Africa pulls back under President Trump, experts say China is likely to expand its role and the pressure that comes with it. And that's all we had for you today. Are you interested in constructive analysis of news happenings? Just hit the subscribe button, like, and comment on the stories we are highlighting. DW Africa is our channel's name, and my name is George Okachi.